Abigail, the little miniature pincher with a big heart for adventure, was ready for her second kayaking trip around the small island. The first time had been exciting, exploring new waters, sniffing the sea breeze, and paddling through hidden coves with her person, Kai. This time, she knew the journey would be even better. It was a bright morning, and the sun sparkled on the waves as they arrived at the quiet beach. Abigail's tail wagged with anticipation as Kai unloaded the kayak. This wasn't just any trip, it was a special return to the island they had explored before, and Abigail was more than ready to experience it all over again. With her orange life jacket snug around her, Abigail hopped into the kayak, taking her spot at the front, ears perked and nose twitching. She could already smell the salty air and hear the gentle waves lapping against the shore. The island they were about to circle wasn't large, but it was full of mystery and surprises, just waiting to be explored. Kai gave the kayak a gentle push, and soon they were gliding smoothly over the water. The gentle rocking of the kayak was familiar to Abigail now, and instead of being nervous like on her first trip, she felt excited. The open water stretched ahead, and the small island loomed in the distance, its sandy shores and lush green trees standing out against the blue of the sea. As they paddled closer to the island, Abigail stood on all fours, balancing perfectly as she surveyed the scenery. Birds swooped overhead, their calls echoing in the quiet morning air. Abigail's eyes followed them for a moment before she refocused on the island, her tiny heart racing with the thrill of adventure. As they rounded the first bend of the island, Abigail spotted a small cove tucked between the rocky cliffs. The water here was crystal clear, and Abigail could see colorful fish swimming just below the surface. Her nose twitched as she leaned over the edge of the kayak, watching the fish dart around. Kai chuckled, giving her a pat on the head. "See something interesting down there, Abigail?" Abigail barked softly in response, her eyes glued to the shimmering fish. She wanted to dive in and chase them, but the gentle rocking of the kayak reminded her to stay on board. Instead, she settled back down, content to observe the underwater world from her perch. They paddled deeper into the cove, where the water was calm and the cliffs cast cool shadows over the surface. Abigail's ears perked up as she heard the sound of water trickling down the rocks. It was a small waterfall, hidden away in the cove. She barked excitedly, urging Kai to paddle closer. Kai laughed. "You've got a good eye, Abigail. Let's check it out." The kayak glided toward the waterfall, the sound growing louder as they neared the rocks. Abigail's tiny paws danced with excitement as the cool mist from the waterfall sprayed over her. It was like a hidden treasure, waiting just for them to find. The water splashed gently over the rocks, creating little ripples that made Abigail's heart race with joy. After spending a few moments in the cove, Kai steered the kayak back out into open water. Abigail watched as the island's rocky shoreline stretched ahead of them. Tall trees swayed in the breeze, their leaves rustling softly. The island was quiet, with only the sound of waves and the occasional bird call filling the air. As they paddled along the coast, Abigail spotted something in the distance. It looked like a small opening in the rocks, another cove, perhaps? Her curious nature got the best of her, and she barked softly, signaling Kai to head in that direction. Kai followed Abigail's lead, and soon they were paddling toward the opening. It was a narrow passage, just wide enough for the kayak to fit through. The water here was calm and still, reflecting the sunlight in shimmering patterns. Abigail's eyes widened with wonder as they entered the hidden cove. Inside, the cove opened up into a small, secluded beach. The sand was soft and golden, and palm trees lined the shore. Abigail could hardly believe her eyes. It was like they had discovered a secret paradise. She barked happily, her tail wagging furiously as they pulled the kayak up onto the sand. Kai stepped out first, helping Abigail out of the kayak. The little dog wasted no time in exploring the new surroundings. Her tiny paws sank into the warm sand as she trotted around the beach, her nose sniffing every shell, rock, and leaf she could find. This was her favorite part of the trip, exploring new places with Kai by her side. As Abigail wandered along the beach, she spotted movement near the trees. Her ears perked up as she saw a small crab scuttling across the sand. Abigail's instincts kicked in, and she barked excitedly, chasing after the little creature. The crab, startled by the sudden appearance of the tiny dog, quickly buried itself in the sand. Abigail stopped in her tracks, tilting her head in confusion. Where had it gone? She sniffed the spot where the crab had disappeared, her nose twitching as she tried to figure out the mystery. Kai watched with amusement as Abigail dug a small hole in the sand, determined to uncover the hiding crab. "Looks like you've made a new friend," Kai said, laughing as Abigail continued her investigation. Eventually, Abigail gave up on finding the crab and trotted back to Kai, her tail wagging happily. She might not have caught the crab, but the thrill of the chase had been more than enough fun for her. After spending some time relaxing on the secluded beach, it was time to head back to the mainland. Kai loaded the kayak, and Abigail hopped back in, her excitement still bubbling from the adventure. They paddled away from the hidden cove, back out into the open water that circled the island. The sun was now high in the sky, casting a warm golden light over the sea. Abigail felt a sense of peace wash over her as they glided through the water. The sound of the paddle dipping in and out of the sea was soothing, and the gentle breeze ruffled her fur as they made their way around the rest of the island. Abigail's eyes scanned the horizon, taking in the beautiful scenery. She loved the feeling of being out on the water, the freedom of exploring new places, and the joy of sharing these moments with Kai. As they rounded the final bend of the island, Abigail caught sight of the beach where they had started. Their second kayaking trip around the island was coming to an end, but Abigail knew that the memories of this adventure would stay with her forever. As they pulled the kayak back onto the shore, Abigail gave one last look at the island. The hidden coves, the secret beach, the playful crab, it had all been part of an unforgettable adventure. She wagged her tail, feeling proud of the day's journey and all the discoveries they had made. Kai smiled down at her. "Another successful trip, Abigail. You really are the best little adventurer." Abigail barked in agreement, her heart full of happiness. She knew there would be more adventures to come, more islands to explore, and more hidden treasures to find. For now, though, she was content, knowing that the world was full of endless possibilities, and she would always have Kai by her side to explore it all. The end has come. See you guys soon. Love you guys. Abigail.